Hi guys, thank you for tuning into this video today. I'm Jeff, your safeguarding officer, and of late I've said I'm going to return back to teaching from the basics again, because the last time we taught about safeguarding and done everything about the necessities of safeguarding within children and families. I think our YouTube channel had about 5,000, but now of course we've doubled that, so I think it's necessary we go back and teach again, because our audience is growing every day. In Swahili we say karibuni sana katika hii video siku ya leo, and I want us to be interactive. I want you to ask questions, say what you think about this, but it's critical. If we are going to be able to support children, it's necessary for us to be able to understand what safeguarding is about. All right, my people. So what is safeguarding? Safeguarding is the action that is taken to promote the welfare of children and protect them from suffering harm. Some people may say, and protect them from suffering significant harm. But for me, I don't want to think of significant harm. I go with any sort of harm. So safeguarding is what we do, things that we do every day to ensure that our children are protected from suffering any sort of harm whatsoever. It's not major harm, it's not significant. Any sort of harm, whether it's a child being screamed at, a child being all sort of things. We don't want even a slight harm to children, because if they're going to grow and develop and become responsible individual in the society, we need them to be okay. We need them to know that they are loved, they are cared. For us to do this, they need to have been protected from the times they are children all the way to their adult. An adult that has suffered, during childhood, usually they have a lot of questions to ask. Why was I not protected? Why was I not safeguarded? Why did I go through this? They always have a lot of questions. So it is critical and it's necessary we ensure that our children are protected from any sort of harm. So please, if you do not understand what this is, tunasema ya kwamba safeguarding ni ile kazi tunafanya kila siku. It's not different. Safeguarding is not a term that is complicated. It's not a term that is worrying. Ni ile kazi unafanyanga kila siku. It's what you do every day. You just need to have a different way of seeing it, a different ear, a different thinking, and definitely you be proactive. You must see things in advance. You must think ahead. Do not be an individual that is going to be waiting for things to happen, and then that's now when you want to. Now we'll come to child protection, but safeguarding is what literally we do as parents, as carers, as guardians, as individuals, as police, as nurses, as doctors, as social workers. Every person that comes into contact with a child needs to safeguard them, because kazi ya kulinda na kutunza watoto ni jukumu ya kila mmoja wetu. What that means in Swahili is that it is the responsibility of every individual that comes into contact with children to ensure that they are safeguarded, they are protected from suffering any sort of harm. In the UK, working together to safeguard children, policy and document says, safeguarding children and young people is everyone's business. It's everyone's responsibility. But for me, as a safeguarding officer, I want to change that narrative of where people think that safeguarding children is everyone's business. Because when you say it's everyone's business, that does not put the emphasis, it does not put work into it. That narrative, working together 2018, is a good policy and a guidance and a document. But I think it needed to have been put it like safeguarding children and young people must, the word is must be everyone's responsibility. That means if you find a child somewhere having problem, ukikuta mtoto yote anapitia through magumu, issues, worries, concerns, ukikuta mtoto anabuli mwingine, all this, you must be able to help that child. And you're not only helping the child that is getting bullied, you're not helping the child that is getting into difficulties, into problems. You are also helping the perpetrator. You are also helping the one that is causing this child to go through those issues. Because both the victim and the perpetrator have problems. The victim anakuwa bullied, they are being victimized, they are being subjected to doing all sorts, going through all these things. And the one that is doing that, probably they have reasons, worrying, anxieties. They themselves, if you see a bully bullying somebody, they already themselves have got a problem. So you are not only going to help the victim, but also the person that is doing this. But in most cases, of course, what is key, what is fundamental, is to ensure the person that is receiving is protected from suffering that harm. Because the person that is causing that problem can be supported, but not particularly at that time. So it's critical we ensure we change the narrative of safeguarding children is everyone's business to safeguarding children and young people must be everyone's responsibility. That means if you have found that you saw or you are in a position to be able to help a child who was suffering and you didn't, you could be spoken to, talked to. Why did you not support that child? Why did you not help that child? Why did you not report to the police that that child was going through this? You are a neighbor, you knew that this child was being subjected to all these things, but you didn't say no, you didn't say nothing. So are you an individual that helps children, or are you an individual that probably likes children suffering because you saw, you knew that that child was suffering, that child was going through all these things, but you didn't tell nobody? This is why I'm saying it's important the narrative be changed from is to must. Is very subjective because it's open to interpretations. Why did I not support? Why did I not say? I didn't think that was my place. That child is not, from my area. That child is from another country. That child is a refugee. Na. All this. Is very subjective. But when we change is to must then becomes very objective because it's not going to be based on what you are telling us, what you are saying, why you didn't help, why didn't you support that child. It's going to be based on, okay, it's a child. Why didn't you support them? Yes, they are not, you are from your village. They're not, but why did you not support them? So we need to look at these things from a factual perspective. The whole thing needs to be objective so that then children can be kept safe. So any individual that is going to be out there that will see a child suffering, they must be ready to support that child, regardless of where they are from, who the child is, regardless of their ethnicity, accent, whatever it is, gender, it doesn't matter, religion. A child is a child and they must be supported, they must be protected, they must be kept safe. So you support that child. That is why I believe working together to safeguard children and young people in the UK 2018 is a good policy, is a good document. But there it needs to be changed from it's everyone's responsibility to it must be everyone's responsibility. When you put the must there, it gives emphasis that this is not an option. This is not a cause of debate. This is not a debate issue. It is that you as an adult, you as a people, you as a group, if you find a child suffering, any sort of harm somewhere, and it's within your means to help that child, young person, you need to step in and support them. This whole issue of bystander effect should not happen, because a lot of people nowadays, unfortunately, they are on social media, and a child is being bullied somewhere, and instead of you stepping in and supporting that child, guess what you're doing? You've got your mobile phone and you are zooming and you're filming, you're making content out of a child that is being subjected to things that they're not supposed to be going through. And instead of you stepping in and telling police, you're telling them, stop, don't do it, stop, or this is what's going to happen. You step in and you support that child and you tell them to stop, separate them. You are there with your camera and you are filming content for your TikTok account, for your Facebook page, for your YouTube subscribers. That's why we must change. Because then if that is the case, and you did that and you put that content out there, then definitely the authorities could look at that content, look at that child, depending on what has happened. They could come and say to you, okay, so who filmed this? You did. Did you support that child? No. So we can actually caution you that you are not child friendly. Then if you are a parent and you have children, how can we be certain that you are able to protect your own children? Guys, this is a deeper conversation, and I know a lot of people may disagree with this. They may say, oh, this is going too far, or Safeguarding Officer Jeff, you're going too far. But period, children must be safeguarded. Lazima tusaidie watoto, hata kama ni wajirani, hata kama ni the neighboring country. Children are children. I would not be happy if I realized that my child was not supported by somebody because they come from a different country. Or you had an opportunity to support my child to be able to cross that bridge, but you just let them drown in a river. No, I'm going deep. That's an analogy, guys. Don't get me literally. So what I'm saying is, ni necessary watu wangu, watoto wasaidiwe. Na wewe kama mzazi, wewe kama guardian carer, you as a home care, whatever it is, we must put children number one. We make sure we're safe. Safeguarding is the actions that we do to promote children's welfare. Guys, did you get that? To promote children's welfare. That means the welfare of that child is promoted. By the time you intervene and you support that child, you are promoting their welfare. Because hawadhulumiwi, they're not going through issues. So you are helping their welfare. You are minding their welfare. So their health will be okay. They will not be suffering. But beside that, promoting their welfare and ensuring they are protected from suffering, harm, or any sort of harm. And when we do that as a society, when we do that as individuals, when we do that as corporations, when we do that as institutions, when we do that in the villages, in the cities, in countries, then we'll have a very safe place for children to grow and develop in. That is what we call safeguarding. When we do this, we help children grow. Their health, they don't suffer maltreatment. They are emotionally, sound. They grow knowing that they are loved. They grow knowing that they are loved. They are taken care of. They are wanted. They are needed. They are valued. All these things are why we do safeguarding. There is somebody out there that can say, okay, you're talking to us about safeguarding. What is then child protection? Is child protection the same as safeguarding? They are one and the same thing. But child protection is a process of safeguarding. Why? Because child protection is how we respond to harm. Child protection is what we do every day when we find children that are in difficulties. Say, for instance, you've gone there and you find that a child somewhere is very hungry, and therefore they are crying because they cannot even walk, they're very hungry. What do? What you're supposed to do is that probably you have some bananas in your bag, you have some biscuit, you have some juice, or you have some money. Quickly go to some place there and you grab some food, you grab some snack, some drinks, you come and you give this child. The child is able to eat and at least have some energy to be able to walk, go home, whatever, if they were going home, or be able at least to walk. That is what child protection is in a nutshell. You have saved that child from that dilemma that they were. Now, the difference between safeguarding and child protection is this. Safeguarding would have been that the mother of that child that you just found on the road or somewhere crying because they are hungry, the mother or the carer, guardian, the family of that child would have make sure the child ate before they leave. Now you're thinking safeguarding. I want to safeguard that child from hunger. So the child needs to eat before they leave the house. The child needs to dress properly. If it's a girl, she needs to make sure that she's decently dressed. Nobody's going to be seeing her chest. Nobody's going to be seeing her bottom. If it's a boy, the areas that needs to be covered are covered. You need to be thinking from the angle of how is that child going to get to school? Is 10 miles. Is she going to be able to walk there? Is she going to be able to walk back? If she's not, what provisions are you putting in place to ensure that that child is not going to be so tired by the time she or he gets to school that they will be able to focus and study? Coming back is the same thing. So safeguarding is what we do prior to something happening. I'm just trying to be as basic as I can. Whereas child protection is what we do when we find that child in that situation. Now that they are tired, they are not able to walk home whatsoever because they are so tired. They've had a very busy day at school. They've done all sort of activities, PE and all that. Child is exhausted. They've walked 5 miles from school. They are now halfway. They now need to walk 5 miles to get home. But they can't. They are tired. Their legs are hurting. And now they sat somewhere. They are crying. So now what you do, you then decide, okay, if this is the case, hop in here. I've got a bike. I've got a motorbike, boda. I'm in a car or Uber. Get this child, take this child home. That is child protection. You have now removed that child from the situation that that child was, and you have sent her safely or him safely back to his or her parents or family. You have saved that child. You have protected that child from anything that could have happened. Because guess what? What would have happened if that child would have remained there? Probably bullies can come and start bullying that child because she's crying or he's crying. So all sort of things could have happened to that child. Or if that child have continued to walk for those 5 kilometers to your house, probably that child's leg would have been swollen. Tomorrow they would not be able to go to school. All sort of things could have happened. But because you have stepped in and you have helped that child, you have given that child food, so that child is now not hungry anymore. They're not crying. You have saved and kept that child saved. You have protected things that could have happened. And that is what the difference between safeguarding and child protection is. So child protection is a process of safeguarding. It is how we respond to harm, how we respond to need, how we respond to safety. Whereas safeguarding is making sure that those things that you are responding to don't happen in the first place. It's as simple as that. I've tried to be as basic as I can because sometimes if you use all these terminologies, people probably don't get it. So guys, what are some of things that you could say are safeguarding concerns? Let me give you examples of what safeguarding concerns could be. It could be allegations of abuse. You are suspecting abuse, that a child is suffering abuse, whether it is at their house or with other people and all that, but that is a safeguarding concern. If a child is suffering bullying, or if a child is bullying others, that is a safeguarding concern. If a child is being neglected by their family, by their carers, guardians, whatever it is, that is a safeguarding concern. If a child is suffering FGM, girls, FGM is female genital mutilations. Girls are being subjected to circumcision. These things happening all over the place. So if a child is being forced to get married when they are very young, it's called forced marriage. If a child is suffering sexual exploitation, if a child is suffering beating, if a child is being groomed, all these are sort of issues that pertains safeguarding measures to be put in place. So my people, those are just small examples that I've given. The range is big, but what we say, it is ensuring that children do not have to suffer with those things. That's why we have to keep them safe. So guys, I think now we understand what safeguarding is, and we understand what child protection is. We understand the difference between safeguarding and child protection. And I think it's critical, and I think we are now clear. We now understand those are the basics of safeguardings. Now in the next lessons, we need to go and start looking at how we deal with safeguarding. Safeguarding at school. What do you need to ensure that your child is safeguarded when they are at school? When they are at the park, when they go to your sister, your brother, your uncle, when they are in the village hall. So those are some of the things that we are going to look at. And we are going to have lesson 1, but this was the first part of explaining what safeguarding is. And this is from a children's perspective. Even if you are to go to adults and all that, you will find it's the same thing. It's just vulnerable individuals that needs to be safeguarded because we haven't gone, so we need to go further and look at different types of safeguarding. We need to look at, children with needs. Is safeguarding different? Is it only children that are in care, or that are orphans, or that have needs that needs to be cared? Or every child needs to be cared? If a child comes from a rich family, do they need to be protected? So all these things are things that we are going to learn, and we are going to do it in lessons. So guys, please make sure you leave your notification bell on so that we can benefit on these lessons when we start to teach them. Please do ask questions, even if the questions do not pertain you, even if the questions are about somebody that you know, a friend, your cousins, your family. We need to ask. We are going to go into families because, like I've continued to sing, this has become my national anthem. Children are brought up within families, in societies. No child is meant to be brought up in isolation. It's not possible, because a child must be taken care of. Who is this person that is taking care of a child? That is why I keep emphasizing that children and families are locked like this. And therefore, it is critical, it is necessary for us to talk about families, for us to deal with families. All sort of family issues can cause problem to children. And therefore, these are some of the things that we are going to deal with in the next few weeks, and probably will be lesson after lesson. So I pray that you come and you join our classes so that we can get to know what is it that we need to do. Ask questions. I will also be bringing interactive videos. Probably sometimes we'll be going live to answer questions and all this for people who will be having questions. I will also be presenting questions and answers every often so that we can become interactive. And as a family, the safeguarding team, I'm starting to open up a WhatsApp group of a team safeguarding, whereby you can also ask questions there, and sometimes we can bring those questions from there to here. We also have our Facebook page, Safeguarding Watoto, and it's critical you also visit there, because there are some things that unfortunately are not allowed on YouTube, but they are allowed on Facebook. So there are some contents that we cannot put on YouTube because of the restrictions, but Facebook are happy to allow them as long as they're educative. So thank you very much for today. Please do subscribe to Safeguarding Watoto. Ask questions, share this video. If you don't want to do anything else, please, I pray, share this video, because somebody somewhere need to understand about safeguarding. They need to understand about how to keep their child or their children safe, or even children in general safe. Apart from that, guys, I remain your safeguarding officer, Jeff, and definitely I look forward in seeing you in our lessons. Communicate with us. But until then, let's continue to keep children safe. The responsibility of keeping children safe belongs to all of us. Let it be told, let it be known that safeguarding children and young people must be everyone's responsibility.